Hello learners, welcome to this video lesson. Today we are going to discuss another important topic. The title of the topic is retention in education. Before starting our discussion, let me to introduce myself. I am Dr. Niradhar De, faculty member, School of Education, Indira Gandhi National Open University. Welcome you all to this video lesson. As you know that presently we are in the 11th module of our course. The title of the module is Issues and Concerns in Education, and as you know that we are discussing one of the core courses of your BA General program under education subject. The course code is BESC 131 and course title is Education, Concept, Nature and Perspectives. Under this course, presently we are in the 11th module. I have already said that the title of the module is Issues and Concerns in Education. In this module, you will find 4 important lessons are there. First lesson is Access and Enrollment in Education. Already we have discussed this topic in our earlier lesson. Then the second lesson is Retention in Education, that now we are going to discuss on this topic, and the third lesson is Enhancing Quality in Education, and fourth lesson is Equity and Equality in Education. Friends, it may be access, it may be enrollment, it may be retention, it may be quality in education, it may be equity and equality. All these are issues pertaining to education, issues related to our schooling. Okay. So, that is why in this module mostly we are dealing such issues. Now, let us go forward to focus upon some of the learning outcomes. I am very much hopeful that after going through this video lesson, you will be able to explain the concept of retention in education, what is the meaning of the term retention and what is the concept of the term retention in education. Then further you will be able to critically analyze issues of retention in education. What are the different issues that occurs in the field of retention in education, or especially in the issues relating to retention in education. And further you will be able to discuss the measures for enhancing retention in education. So, what are the different measures we supposed to take for enhancing retention in education and for addressing the issues that that are come within the purview of retention in education. I am very much hopeful that definitely you will achieve these learning outcomes after going through this video lesson, and at the same time part content which is given in your self learning material. Now, let us focus upon the very concept of retention in education. Friends, retention of a student in education generally implies a condition or a situation in which the student remains or participates in a level of education or a course of learning in which he or she is admitted till he or she completes the level of education or course of learning. Try to understand this concept. So, here retention means who is getting inducted in the system, or the learner or the child when the child is enrolled in a program, or you can say, if I will give particular example in the school education, when the child take admission in class 1 in the first class. So, here retention means the child should continue his or her studies. Okay. So, that means he should or she should complete class 1, then should promote to class 2, then continue class 2 and also complete class 2. Then accordingly it may be elementary education, it may be secondary education, or it may be senior secondary education. So, the learners who are getting inducted, getting enrolled in the education system, they are supposed to retain in the system, they are supposed to complete their education. So, this is the very concept of retention. That means the learner who is coming to the system, they should not go back. Okay, dropout should not be there. Rather, they should continue, they should retain themselves in studies in that class. Further, to understand the concept in a very better way relating to retention in education, let me to say the efficiency of an education system is understood to many extents through the retention of its students in the system. Friends, when the students are retaining themselves, when the students are continuing their studies, and when the rate of dropout, okay, means if the students are not leaving the system, leaving the schooling, that means we can say that that may be a better education system, because there is the retention. That means which coming to the system, they are involving themselves in different type of educational discourses, and they are involving themselves in the process of teaching and learning. Further, retention is strongly influenced by dropout in one end and promotion in another end. Try to understand. Retention is strongly influenced by dropout. That means if dropout will not happen, that means the students will retain in the system. This is in one end. If there is the dropout, then we can say that we are able to achieve retention of the students in the system. And at the other end, we can say that promotion. Okay, the students will retain, the students will continue their class, continue their standard. It may be standard 1, 2, 3, 4 accordingly, or it may be all the standards in elementary stage, all the classes and standards in secondary and senior secondary stage. So, when they will continue their study, when they will do better in their studies, then gradually they will be promoted to the further classes. So, that is why retention is very much depends upon the dropout and at the same time promotion of the students. Now, let us try to understand the very concept of dropout in education. What is dropout in education? Friends, dropout of a student in education implies to a situation in which the students leaves a level of study or course of learning before he or she completes the level of study or course of learning. Try to understand. Many a time you must have observed, especially in the remote areas, especially in the slum areas, in remote India and slum areas, you will find that there is a percentage of students, they are getting dropout themselves. Okay, so those are taking admission in the elementary class, in class 1, before completing the entire elementary education, before completing class 8, you can say, they are just dropping themselves from the system of schooling. Okay, reason may be many, factors may be many, but here we can say that unless they complete their standard, unless they complete a level of education, if they leave schooling, if they leave education, then we can say that there is a dropout. Okay. Further, dropout is opposite of retention. Retention is to continue study, and dropout is just before completion of a particular level, just take out, or you can say just to leave the system. Okay, stop education and discontinue education. Further, dropout or discontinuation in education is a kind of wastage in education. This is a kind of wastage. Further, we will discuss that what is the concept of wastage. Now, let us focus upon promotion versus stagnation in education. What is the concept of promotion and what is the concept of stagnation in education? Friends, promotion of a student in education refers to a context in which the student successfully completes a level of study or course of learning within a stipulated time. Okay? So, promotion, when the child will study and involve himself or herself in the course of study, in the curriculum, in the syllabi, attend the teacher's interaction, teacher's class, and do the activities, appear the examination, then the students will get promotion. Promotion means here successfully completion of a particular class or a particular level. Okay, particular class means we can say that after completion of class 7th, after appearing the final examination of class 7th, on the basis of the result of the students, they may be promoted to class 8 and further they may be promoted to class 9 after elementary education, then to class 10 accordingly. So, promotion is the successfully completion of a particular standard or even a particular level. Just like after completion of elementary stage, one can enter in a secondary stage. Then after completion of secondary education, one can enter in the senior secondary education. If a student takes more than the given or the stipulated time to complete a particular level of study or course of learning, then it is called as stagnation. Okay? So, here you see the students takes more than the given or stipulated time. Just like let class 6th one should study 1 year in class 6th, one academic session, and then after the learners should promoted to class 6 to 7 and further 7 to 8. If a learner is not doing well, okay, so far as their performance, achievement and understanding is concerned in a particular class, maybe in all the subjects or maybe even in a few subjects, if the students are not getting pass in a particular standard, then what happens? If the student continue in that class for more than 1 year, then we can say that there is a stagnation. Okay? That means the student is not getting promotion to further class, to the higher class. Rather, the student is continuing another year consecutively in a particular class. So, in this situation we can say that there is stagnation in education. Further, stagnation is almost synonymous to failure. So, why stagnation happens? Stagnation happens because of failure in a particular class, because of failure in education, because of failure in schooling. So, this is just the synonymous meaning of stagnation, that is failure. Further, we can say stagnation is a kind of detention or a repetition in education. Many a time because of you can say lack of or because of not achieving the minimum level of learning, the minimum understanding and the minimum knowledge in a particular class, many a time the class teacher or the teacher of the school, they might have detained a child for more than 1 year in a class. Okay. So, that is we can say a type of stagnation. And further, repetition in education, I have already said that when the child repeat more than 1 year in a particular class. Further, stagnation or repetition adversely affects promotion. It affects promotion because the child is not doing up to the mark, up to the level, up to the minimum level of learning. So, that is why the child is not getting promotion and the child is repeating in the same class for consecutive years, for more than 1 year. That is called as stagnation. Further, now let me to focus upon some of the very important terminologies and that we use so far as education is concerned, so far as education system is concerned, and what is its implications. Just like I was talking earlier, promotion. Promotion means the terminology promotion that we use so far as our education system is concerned. When the child getting promotion from one class to another class on the basis of his or her achievement, we can say that it is a successful promotion for the child. And further, we also use the term of enrollment. Enrollment means it may be at the pre-primary level, it may be at the nursery education, or it may be in the formal education at the beginning of the formal education. That means we can say that it may be in the standard 1, in the class 1. Okay. So, here when the child enter in the system, that means the child enrolls himself in the system of education. For the retention, after enrollment, the next important aspect is retention. Further, we have to see whether the child is retaining himself or herself in the system of education, whether the child is continuing his or her studies or not. And further, if retention is not happening, if the child leaves the system in the mid-year, in the mid-session, okay, and if the child leave education and engaged himself or herself in different activities, in different family related and other types of activities, we can say that there is a wastage. Okay. Money has spent for the education of the child, teacher has been appointed, proper infrastructure has been developed, proper efforts are taking place, but at the same time you will find that there happens stagnation. Okay. There happens wastage. That means the students are not pursuing their education, they are leaving the system. Then stagnation, I have already said that because of lack of achievement, because of not achieving the minimum level of learning, many a time a particular child continues more than 1 year in a particular class. That's called as stagnation. And for the dropout, many a time you will find that the dropout rates, let me to say dropout rate, if I will say about the present context, dropout rate has been drastically reduced, but at a time, especially in school education system, you can say huge number of students were getting dropout and percentage of dropout was very high, but now percentage of dropout is declining. Further, if I will focus upon the impact of Right to Education Act 2009, Right to Education Act 2009, which is one of the fundamental right of the child so far as educational provision is concerned, so far as elementary educational provision is concerned. Now it is fundamental right of the child that state will provide compulsory free education up to the age group of 6 to 14 till the completion of elementary class, that is from class 1 to class 8th. Here when we talk about Right to Education Act 2009, it also equally influenced and impacts on the following aspect. Just like enrollment, drastically enrollment has been increased, as now it is a right. So state government, because of the effort of the local government, state government, community members, parents, society, now you will find that most of the children from the locality, from the remote area, they are coming to the school, they are enrolling themselves, and this is the impact and this is the effect of the implementation of Right to Education Act 2009. And for the retention, in Right to Education 2009, you will find that there is the provision that the child, when he or she enrolls in a system, enrolls in education, it is the responsibility of the school and the community and the local government at the same time the child to retain in the system, to study, to engage himself or herself in curricular discourses. Okay. So that's why retention, the percentage of retention has also been increased after the implementation of Right to Education Act 2009. Then dropouts, you will find that the rate of dropout has been drastically reduced, drastically changed. And wastage and stagnation, okay. Stagnation has been changed, as you know, as per Right to Education Act, up to class 8th all are getting promotion. So here in elementary education at present there is no question of stagnation, okay. So there is no stagnation, but wastage, many a time because of the dropout, wastage happens, okay, because the child before completing their education, they take dropout from the system, and when there is a dropout, definitely that is a type of wastage. Friends, now let us focus upon some of the issues of retention in education. First issues, I can say that in institutional facilities, whether there are the facilities of an institution in the locality or not, okay, whether there is the facility of school in every village or not, okay. So institutional facility automatically addresses the issues of retention in education. If there are adequate institutional facilities, then the students will get a school at their nearby and definitely they will come to school. And if the institutional facilities or if the school is 3 kilometers away from the home, or if the learner have to cross the river, cross the hilly areas, cross the jungle to reach at the school, then definitely you will find that they will not retain in the system of education. So that's why in providing institutional facilities is the first and foremost issues relating to retention in education. Then further, institutional environment. After providing institutional facility, then further institutional environment or a proper, a conducive environment of educational institutions should be maintained. Okay? There should be cordial relation among the peers, among the groups, among the teachers and students, and among the friend circle, and they should engage in different types of constructive activities. So that's why instructional environment, a type of cooperative environment, is very much important for achieving retention in education. And further, shortage of teachers and absenteeism. This is also another issue. If there is shortage of teacher, if the teachers are not available, and even if teachers are appointed but they are not coming to the school, they are keeping themselves absent most of the time. So that also a type of issues of retention in education, that how to address these issues. Further, curriculum load. Many a times students you will find that they are taking dropout, they are not completing, they are not able to completing their education because of the curriculum load, because of the load in the syllabi. Okay? So that's why being a teacher we should understand all these issues, then accordingly we should go for strategies. And further, other issues of retention in education, that is parental involvement. Unless the parents are involved in the system of education, no educational system will flourish, will fulfill, or will purposeful. You can give the example, in the Right to Education Act there is a provision of SMC, Establishment of School Management Committee, and how the SMC will be constituted. In the SMC you will find that there is the member, that means the parents will be the member, community members will be the member, then local government will also be the member, okay, and at the same time Department of Education and teachers are also the members. So that's why here the second important aspect, that's called as parental involvement, and further is home or school environments. If your home environment is conducive, then definitely the students or the children coming from that home to school, they will retain themselves in the education system. Then even if in the school also, further financial difficulties is also another important aspect, that is a pertinent issue of retention in education. Then further, diversify culture. If our culture is diversify, if in our culture is varieties of experiences are there in our culture, from that culture the students who are coming, it is many a time difficult for them to retain themselves. Okay, in diversify culture, that means especially in the city areas, the children are coming from multilingual background. Okay, and at the same time many a time you will find that the children are coming from a diverse group of society. Okay, it may be a single parent family, or it may be other types of diverse group families, they who practice a different culture, different language, different living style, different food habit. Okay, so in this case certain difficulties appears that how to achieve the retention in education. And now we are at the end point of our discussion. Now let us focus upon, after discussing the issues of retention in education, what are the different measures for enhancing retention in education? What strategies we are supposed to adopt for enhancing retention in education? First of all, providing quality education in terms of better institutional infrastructure and environment, curriculum, teaching learning process and evaluation system. So these are the certain important things that we should take care of it for enhancing retention in education. The new child, the new students who are coming to the school, they should be motivated. Okay, they should get better institutional infrastructure and institutional environment, and they should provide a curriculum which is child centered in nature, and they should actively involve in the process of teaching and learning, and evaluation systems should also learner friendly. So if such things are happening, if such things we are doing, then definitely we can say we are taking certain measures for enhancing retention in education. And further, appointing required number of competent and committed teachers and reducing teacher absenteeism. Okay, the teachers who are keeping themselves in absent, or always they become absent in the school. So how to resolve this problem? So accordingly, those teachers should be appointed, those are really competent and committed to be a teacher. Regularly conducting parents and teacher meeting for better participation of students in education. So teachers should organize parent teacher meeting in a very regular interval so that they can talk with the students. Further, monitoring attendance of students from time to time in institutions. So many a time, for enhancing retention in education, the education system should be monitored. Okay, the things which is going on in the school, the things which is going on even in the SMC, that should be properly monitored. Other measures for enhancing retention in education, I may focus upon evaluating the performance of students continuously, arranging the remedial classes for weaker students, providing guidance and counseling services as well as mentoring services to students from motivating and retaining them in learning, then providing midday meal to students if possible. So many a time, because of the midday meal, because after the implementation of the midday meal scheme, you will find that many children are coming to school. Okay. Further, making institutional climate learner friendly, secure and democratic. So this is one of the very important aspect, that the educational institute that we develop, it should be learner friendly, it should provide security to the child, and democratic practices should be followed in the institution. Further, the other measures for enhancing retention is providing multiple assistance to the deserving students in forms of study materials, textbooks, stipends, scholarship, dress, traveling incentive and many other incentives. By providing incentives, we can also retain student in the system. And nowadays you will find that after Right to Education Act, most of the state government, they are coming forward with such type of you can say certain incentive to the teacher. Then further, providing financial assistance to the poor parents through student support services in order to motivate them to send their children to an institution for education. Many a time you will find that after completion of school education, the children are not able to go to the city and to pursue higher education. This may be because of poor socio-economic standard, socio-economic background of the children. Okay. So they are not able to go. So that's why care should be taken. Government should come forward with many educational schemes to address the need of such students. Friends, now let us recapitulate and focus upon some of the practice questions. I am very much hopeful that after going through this video lesson and part E content which is given in your self-learning material, be able to, or you can answer these questions, just like define concept of retention in education, what is the concept and meaning of retention in education, explain the terms promotion, dropout, wastage and stagnation in education. So here you see the terms that are used, just like promotion, dropout, wastage and stagnation in education. So you should be able to explain it, you should be able to elaborate it. Further, discuss the impact of Right to Education Act 2009 on retention in education. So drastically we can say it had a very positive impact on retention of the child in the school so far as Right to Education Act is concerned. And further discuss the issues underlying retention in education. What are the different issues? So friends, I have just mentioned few issues. You can also add more issues as you have observed, as you have experienced. Further exemplify the measures for enhancing retention in education. So, what are the different measures that you would like to put forth for enhancing retention in education? I am very much hopeful that after going through this video lesson, definitely you will be able to answer these questions. In our next lesson, we will discuss another topic from your course. Thank you.